All right. So we've got interestingly very few people today, but we'll make the most of it. Let's get started, guys. So for everybody who doesn't know me, I'll give my whole introduction again. Let me just take my deck to a new screen. So, like always, feel free to chime in if you have a question. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask it then and there itself. Thankfully, we have no whiteboard sessions this time around. We should be able to conclude today on time. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amit Singh. I am, the founder of Socially as well as co-founder of Wow Labs. Wow Labs is a turnkey product development company. Socially is interoperable metaverse protocol, and that we guys have spawned out of Wow Labs. And some of the people here in this session are my colleagues. We've been working on Web3 since 4 years now, 5 years, fifth year running now. And there are 3 different protocols, dozens of dApps that we guys have created. These days, what's keeping us busy is building Socially and building Polkadot India, which is India's community for the layer 0 interoperable Polkadot chain. Now, this is part 6 of a 6-part series. I'm really looking forward to reclaiming my Saturdays, where we've been going through a hardcore Web3 curriculum for anybody who's new to the world of Web3. And while we cover a lot of breadth, we also go into a little bit of depth and look at opportunities that are available in different sectors and do interactive Q&As, which at least those of you who are working in this particular space, sometimes it ends up helping them because those are very tactical discussions like what to do and how to solve particular challenges. So in the past, we've covered Bitcoin, how it works, Ethereum and smart contracts, how they work, and what are the various possibilities that happen with programmable money. Then we covered DeFi, and then NFTs, gaming, play to earn economy. Last week we did social tokens, DAOs, and interoperable blockchains. And today is the final topic, which is on metaverses and its various multifarious applications across board. So what the heck is a metaverse? Now, this definition could end up being a lot on the software side. It could cover the entire stack, which includes hardware as well as software. But think of metaverse as a virtual world in which you can carry out a variety of activities in a fairly immersive fashion. Now, the thing that differentiates a virtual world from a metaverse from, say, some other digital piece where you're spending time, like for example on Zoom, is the amount of agency that you get. So in the gaming parlance, agency means how free is the person to be able to do whatever that person wants to do. A metaverse is a very high agency game. You can literally move around wherever you want to. You can do things, and the changes that you make in the metaverse often end up being persistent as well if you want them to be. So that is one key distinction between the virtual worlds that you would see within closed environments, maybe some games as well, vis-a-vis metaverse. We will dive a lot deeper into the definition of metaverse and a lot of other things. Some of the things that we'll look at today are market trends, evolution of the web, and what led to Web 3.0, which of which metaverse is a big part. And we'll look at key components of a metaverse, different layers. If you want to see where in the value chain do you want to build a startup, do something. We look at a few use cases. We, of course, roam around in the metaverse as well, seeing how it looks like. And, some of the interesting projects which where people have innovated and done some cool things. So we start with the market trends. Heard of Sandbox and Decentraland, everybody? We're talking about Web3 metaverses here. Sandbox, Decentraland. Yeah. Somnium Space?
No.
Not as much. Yeah, it's not very popular, but yeah, between these 3, They were like the top three amongst all the metaverse projects until about 1 month back, when Bored Ape Yacht Club came out with their metaverse, and it suddenly became the single leading player. So uh, we are at a pretty interesting time in the entire gaming industry also, where so earlier people used to pay for purchasing a game, pretty much how they used to pay for purchasing the CD to watch a movie, and then they would use it and consume it, and that is it. Nowadays, most of the games are free to play. They will let you come do a variety of activities, but you won't be able to. There'll be a glass ceiling. You won't be able to cross it unless you buy some kind of in-game assets to be able to expedite or accelerate your progress within that game. So, in-game spending is the trend of the future, something that will become relevant as we explore metaverses as well. So, this is the most recent number one metaverse in the world. Other side, which is launched by Bored Ape Yacht Club. We'll take a look at what these guys are up to as well. So, metaverses exploded last year around November when Facebook said that, boss, we are rebranding ourselves to Meta, and we're going to be investing $10 billion over the next, I do not know, decade or so, for developing metaverse infrastructure and converting Facebook to a great extent into a metaverse first social network. Now that is phenomenal. Automatically, the token values of Decentraland, like Sand, Mana, all of these things skyrocketed overnight. They became 4x, and of course, Facebook says that they would end up creating a lot of jobs too. Market stats say that VR headsets will become more economical, with over 30 million people being able to purchase them and use them for more immersive digital experiences by 2024. And about 1.7 billion people will experience augmented reality by 2024. Anybody here who does not understand AR, VR, etc.? We've covered that once in the previous session as well. Anybody who doesn't? Okay, cool. So, so there are very interesting things that are happening in Metaverse today. One of those was Travis Scott's pretty awesome looking concert, which he did on Fortnite. Now, Fortnite is one of the world's most popular first-person shooter games. It also includes you can build teams and do cooperative game strategy and playing. It's a battle royale format game. And about 45.8 million people saw that. Now, I'm not sure if all of them logged in at the same time to experience the concert, but these are the stats that are out there. Interestingly, India's own Daler Mehndi apparently received 20 million, that's about 2 crore viewers, when on 26th of January, he did a concert on the Metaverse. So we will possibly take glimpses of that as well. Now, Metaverse is where a lot of money is. Brands are adopting metaverses like crazy. In popular metaverses, which already has tens of millions of users, or better still, hundreds of millions of users, this only exists in the gaming community right now, only on Web2. Web3 metaverses are nowhere close in terms of adoption yet, but brands are really going ahead and buying real estate, building their stuff, and creating many new modes of engagement, because in the future, a lot of us are going to spend significant amount of our time on the metaverse. Why? We will cover shortly. So Sandbox is another very popular metaverse. Decentraland and Sandbox have been going up and down a little in terms of which is the most popular metaverse in the Web3 ecosystem prior to Bored Ape Yacht Club launching other side. This is what the entire scope of the Sandbox map looks like. We will jump into Sandbox and see a few things, including this map over there as well. The small red blocks. So essentially, these small little squares that you're seeing, right? Like one small square over here, that itself is divided into many more smaller squares. This is a very zoomed out version of the map. And so these guys probably have like few hundred, if not a few thousand land parcels combining to create this kind of an area. And this area, incidentally, also ends up being like a very popular casino built by Atari, which is a global gaming company. Well, they are in fact the pioneers in the gaming space back in the 1980s, 19, late 1970s, 1980s. So Steve Jobs, in fact, famously got Steve Wozniak to create a program, and then he sold it off to Atari, claiming that he had built it. Then anybody who's seen Ready Player One? Guys, let's start participating.
Yes.
You can use chat, unmute yourself. Anybody who's not seen Ready Player One yet? Many of you might not have seen. You just say yes, no on chat. Okay, if you've not seen it, irrespective, it's a Steven Spielberg movie, amazing movie, gives you a very good sense of what 10 years down the line the metaverse could look like, and it'll give you'll be able to draw a lot of parallels and be able to appreciate how what you will see in the metaverse these days are baby steps towards making this version a reality. In fact, whatever we are seeing in Ready Player One could also end up becoming a reality sooner than 10 years. Free Guy, very popular movie, more recent, again about metaverse. Now, some of you would have seen Wreck-It Ralph. There are some series that are pretty popular when it comes to metaverses. This one has a good chunk of entrepreneurship and startup in it as well. So how did we get here? So we are right now in the Web 3.0 era. So Web 1.0 was, when the internet just got created, people were building their HTML websites and putting it up on a decentralized internet. And it became really popular. It had inbuilt network effects. The more content you put, the more valuable the internet becomes for everybody else who came. So it exploded. It grew at an unprecedented pace. And this is when some of the big FANG companies of today were created in the late 1990s, early 2000s. And these people ended up building platforms that would make the life of all of these people easy. People would end up creating content they would, and this platform that these companies have created, these platforms will become more and more valuable for others. So many of these platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp falls in the same category, all social networks for that matter, or big, large centralized marketplaces like Amazon, Google, etc. They all fall in the Web 2 era. Now, and today is the Web 3 era, where people are kind of reclaiming their identity and, trying to own the assets that they have to create their own interest on the internet. And this is referred to as Web 3. So simply put, Web 1 was read-only, Web 2 was read-write. Emergence of social media was social networks were like the prominent Web 2.0 app. Social networks were the prominent Web 2.0 applications, and Web 3 is read, write as well as own. Web 2.0 was characterized by interactive content. Web 3.0 is characterized by virtual economies. The organizations where consolidation happened was in platforms. Over here, it is networks. Think about networks as blockchains as well as decentralized autonomous organizations that we shared last time. The infrastructure layer for Web 2.0. So Web 1.0, it was mostly people connecting their computer directly to a modem, and that's how they patched onto the internet, and their files would be hosted on their computer altogether. When the computer goes down, the website is not online. But then as internet became popular, data centers came into being. Everybody started using dedicated hosting providers and cloud, etc., to host content. And now Web 3.0, the same thing is happening. We are continuing to use the existing data center infrastructure along with public blockchains. So initially Web 1.0 was completely decentralized, and that was the original vision, intention of the internet. Web 2.0 made things extremely centralized, and now Web 3.0 is again making it decentralized. Is this making sense, what I just said, guys?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a very nice report by JP Morgan. I won't go into each and every detail over here, but it is useful, especially when you are trying to, if for any reason you want to just characterize what are the salient features of Web 3.0, or how is it really different from the other. It's more of the same things that I just mentioned. Right. And if you're from the marketing domain, there is like a bunch of interesting stuff. Like from Web 2 to Web 3.0 transition leads to a shift in the way that you start thinking about stuff. You think about, creative storytelling in a Web 2.0 world. You would want to make stories in real time, or as an interactive co-op experience in the metaverse. You have spokespeople in today's era. You can think of GPT-owned virtual assistants or digital humans who might be doing a lot of interesting work on the metaverse, or your own avatar that could help you do a variety of things without actually needing to spend time, because it will be controlled and it'll very nearly emulate you, powered by AI. So right now we're living in the world of D2C. Tomorrow there will be services on the metaverse launching D2A. So these are upgrades that come directly onto your avatar on a monthly basis for a small streaming payment that you guys have issued. Experience versus, okay. So right now, if we look at events, the most amazing ones, they are like large stadium full of people kind of events. And on the metaverse, you would almost always want to go about, you will go hang out with your friends also. Just say, let's just catch up in this concert that's happening on the metaverse, because it's interesting. You, instead of calling, you'll just say, let's catch up over here. A lot of kids today, like especially kids in their early teens, are doing exactly this on Roblox. They don't meet up on phone, they meet up on Roblox, even though they cannot end up talking to each other. They just do things together. Like everybody will hop on into a car, and then they'll roam around, do a bunch of stuff, and they will just chat in the interfaces that are given. Then fast fashion trending stuff versus virtual fashion. We'll look about what brands are doing on the fashion side, and loyalty programs will be replaced with blockchain-backed benefits. Blockchain-backed benefits means protocol rewards. So you do X activities consistently for 30 days, and you earn Y token, a Y amount of token, or you end up minting a new NFT, which could be utilized for a variety of things. Okay, so what all can you do? These are some interesting GIFs that are right. So it'll help you connect with people you aren't physical, and it'll possibly even make these connections and meetings feel way more awesome than what currently we can do with Zoom, etc. Of course, it is quite some time before these become a reality, but it's highly likely that we will reach this levels, what you're seeing in this GIF within the next 5-6 years itself, right? Of course, AR, VR headsets are the key towards making this kind of a reality possible, and some advancements in haptics technology. We'll touch upon some of these things too. Next, anybody know this guy?
Yeah, that's Marshmallow.
Yep. Yep. And this is Fortnite. These are people on Fortnite, and this was like another crazy concert. Some, I think, 30 million plus people participated, and just beautiful how the whole thing was, designed and executed. It was quite a jam, quite an awesome party. And this guy is one of the world's leading DJs. This was a great event. So you can totally expect. Uh, in on the metaverse to be able to do these kind of things as well. But and then about 30, about more than 50% of our waking time is spent on the office. And these are in fact things that we've taken from the work that Microsoft is doing. So collaborative tools, completely virtual environments. A lot of it has also been fast forwarded because in pandemic we were all forced to work remotely, and we realized that hey, the current set of tools aren't just that great for collaborative work. So people might feel super comfortable with their personas being reflected on the metaverse, as like which closely emulates their real world personalities, and it's their voice, and some occasionally their video, but this persona is interacting with other people in a completely virtual environment, and possibly with many other being able to do things that you could not do very well earlier. Again, requires a little bit advancement in VR technology to reach this level, but Microsoft already has a tech stack all of these things are practically happening, and they've created like a very sophisticated suite of metaverse enabled products, the very same way Meta or Facebook has created Horizon Worlds. So both these companies are going trying to come up with their awesome innovations in this particular space. So next will be learning, of course. So these things are totally possible. Though this is more distant than the previous thing that I just showed you. You can literally go inside, and we will possibly try doing something like this today in a live example. And it could be a very, very immersive learning experience for many people. You can, of course, play a lot of things together too. And those of you who have used Nintendo Wii, it is something similar. You'll be wearing a haptic suit and your VR headsets, and it's like a very precise game of ping pong that these guys are playing. It's not going to be like, hey, it just works somehow. So we will reach those levels of reality soon, possibilities soon. And then commerce, shopping, a lot of digital assets are being sold. In one of the slides that I shared earlier, a Gucci bag was more expensive. A digital replica, a digital NFT of a Gucci bag was more expensive than its real world alternative. Most likely because there would be limited number of those that would have been printed and shared over there. One of the reasons why brands are getting there. Okay, so let's just get into some theory of metaverse. So when we go about building the metaverse stack, we approach it either from the virtual world to the real world, or from the real world to the virtual world. Now, when Gucci decides that, hey, I'm going to create like an identical copy replica of my real world bag on the metaverse and make it available on platforms like Decentraland or say a Roblox, and it is like from real world we are coming towards the virtual, and there are so many things like virtual games, fantasy lands, etc. From there we are utilizing some constructs and trying to bring them towards state-of-the utility, like people that you already know, you being able to cooperate with them in a completely virtual environment to be able to do a quest together. Some aspects of them now become real because these are people you know from the real world, or there's a company called NFT Heroes, Meta Heroes. I think Meta Heroes. So Meta Heroes it's a Dubai-based company. It will let you, so if you have like a very unique piece of item, it will let you put it inside a scanner, and they have these pretty awesome 3D scanners from Sony, and it'll make like a 3D replica automatically, a 3D replica of that thing, and then it becomes like a digital asset which you can then choose to deploy anywhere on the metaverse. So that's real world going towards the virtual world. Now, both ways there are totally new kind of opportunities for entrepreneurs, for businesses to come together, like from real world to the virtual world. The experiences will end up being richer. From virtual world to real world and vice versa, there is a lot of opportunity towards coming up with very new, different, unique kind of experiences that people should be willing to pay for. Another thing between the real to the virtual world is uh, NVIDIA Omniverse. So what machine learning models in today's day and age, they require a hell of a lot of training. Now, being training these machine learning models with real world objects is so difficult, right? So NVIDIA says, boss, let me do one thing. We already have like massive GPUs, and we've built a lot of stack for training machine learning algorithms. Let us also give them a stack for being able to create realistic 3D models, and let this AI train on those realistic 3D models. So there's a whole camp in the metaverse space that believes that there will be like a digital twin of everything that exists on Earth. And many of these digital twins, which are pretty much identical to the objects on Earth, will be used to train these machine learning models.
Yeah, Amit.
Cool. Any questions?
Yes, Amit, am I audible?
Yes. Who's this, please?
Yeah. Hey, hi. I'm Dipen here. So
Hi,
I have a
Dipen.
question around this. That is Web3 all about metaverse in and gaming, or like I mean, there is some use case outside gaming also.
No. So Web3 is gaming is a part of Web3, and but metaverses are going to be one of the most immersive experiences, and they will encompass almost all aspects of Web3. Now, today when we talk about Web3, most people think about Web3 as either DeFi or NFTs, the most popular use cases. So in 2021, about $44 billion were spent on NFTs alone. On DeFi, again, it'll be in the tens of billions of dollars that people did. And what are these things? These are Web2 constructs, like the entire financial industry. Essentially, I trust you're coming for the first time here, Dipin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are things that we've covered in the past. I'll give a very quick summary. In its essence, what did blockchain make possible is removing an intermediary, a central authority that will decide, that will tell all other parties concerned what is the truth, right? So I
Right.
give money over to you. The bank will tell us, okay, the transaction has happened. It is successful. It's sitting on this person's account. It's all digitally happening, right? But the bank tells us we believe it. That's sorted, right?
Right.
We can tomorrow go to the bank and ensure that we can take that money also. But earlier this was not possible because anything that is digital and it gets transferred on the internet, a binary copy of this digital thing could be created by the other party, creating massive opportunities for fraud or defrauding people.
Agree.
But blockchain completely eliminated it. So now that it is possible to remove a centralized authority, what all can we do? So DeFi was a complete wave, or it is a complete wave in all sorts of financial transactions. People are interested in money a lot, right? And cryptocurrencies uh, uh, are a part of the financial ecosystem. So they started off with utilizing cryptocurrencies towards emulating things that happen in the real world. So you trade. So there are exchanges to trade stocks. We built an exchange where we don't need like a centralized exchange. Everything will be peer-to-peer, completely decentralized. It'll be decided via smart contracts. All right. And if you have to, if you're lending money, borrowing money, all of these things are happening completely via smart contracts without an intermediary. We might actually give some governance tokens to the members who are borrowers and lenders, both in the ecosystem, and collectively, based on the amount of governance token that they hold, they can create a council amongst themselves and vote what should be the interest rate on this lending, etc.
Right.
Right. And then, you talk about derivatives, you talk about synthetic assets, anything that's happening in the centralized financial world started being emulated, replicated, insurance, etc., all in the decentralized side. And this whole category is called decentralized finance. Similarly, NFTs are, rare pieces of digital assets. Now these digital assets could be a replica, or it could be just some form of art, music, video, or it could be like some kind of a digital twin of a building, something that we've created digitally that we want to establish its uniqueness and record it on the blockchain. So in a summary, what is a blockchain? A blockchain is like an append only database, and this database is not saved at one central place. There's a whole network of people who operate this database. So the database is spread across all the entire network, and anybody can read this database at all points in time. And at all points in time, this database is going to be accurate. They will all be in sync with each other. Doing this is complex, as in it requires everybody needs to arrive at consensus, and there are several problems that need to be solved to do so. But once it is there, anybody can query this database from the node that is nearest to them and know what is the source of truth. That is why recording a digital piece of an asset on the blockchain gives it like a stamp of authority that yes, this is uploaded by this particular address on this date and time, and it is recorded on this blockchain, because blockchains cannot be tampered with. Like, you cannot go back in history and change anything ever.
Right.
So that essentially is like more of the Web3 ecosystem. And now metaverses also are a part of the Web3 ecosystem, because many of these NFTs now, people have gone ahead and created entire virtual worlds by clubbing these NFT together. The land parcels that I was showing you on Sandbox, they are all, each of that is an NFT. You can go own land, you can rent this land, you have capital gains on this land, pretty similar to how you would have capital gains on real estate in the physical world. Long answer, but I hope it was useful.
Yes, very much clear. I just have one question now.
Yes,
Let me just introduce myself. I'm working as a vice president at Publicis Group. So where we have like multiple clients. One of the client is say bank, a retail bank, Indian based, and they want to do something innovative in this space, Web 3.0, either NFT or blockchain or metaverse.
Sure.
Right? Could you suggest one good use case for such bank scenario?
Well, we should take it in Q&A, because it will totally disrupt the flow
Oh,
of
sorry. Please.
today's conversation.
Okay,
We
stay
can
till
take
end,
it in
and
Q&A, and there are multiple. There are seriously too many things. I'll possibly highlight some things on the metaverse context, because JP Morgan Chase and HSBC both were among the early banks to establish shop on the metaverse itself. So possibly from within the context of metaverse, I'll try to answer that question within today's session, but we can always discuss it offline also.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Amit. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So these are some. So I'm trend stacking over here, but these are a lot of different technologies that are kind of converging, which has led towards massive adoption of metaverses. So all things virtual, and thanks to pandemic, that is becoming mainstream. Machine reality, machine intelligence is increasing by the month, by the week rather. Simulating reality for either for training machine learning models, or for predicting all kinds of random stuff like crop yield, etc., is seen predominantly in today's day and age. Like data science is a true profession, and almost all decisions in big corporations are being taken using data only. Challenges by open platforms, I'm not sure what this particular piece refers to. Maybe it is challenges with closed platforms, where people want to preserve their privacy, kind of take their goals back. But It is by a guy called John Radoff, and this guy has done some phenomenal research on the metaverse space. So I pardon me for not knowing what this one means. Cybernetics and haptics, etc. So touch technology and the kind of stuff that you need to be able to give inputs to hardware to be able to interact with software is reaching totally new levels, leading to an acceleration. Distributed networks, decentralized networks are going up. Walled garden ecosystems like Apple, Roblox. In fact, um, all prominent metaverses of today, they are all Web2 games. Roblox we've already mentioned, and I'll show you how it looks as well, time permitting. Fortnite, etc. All of these are walled garden ecosystems, and they are exploding. They're growing like crazy. But in the short term, I think there are plenty of opportunities for Web3 metaverses to come. In the midterm, I think Web2 metaverses will win. In the long term, all of these guys will be interoperable with each other, and then again, Web3 will end up winning because they're just greater incentives. A lot of things need to happen in between, including favorable regulation for crypto and the powers that we don't decide to really make life very miserable for mining crypto or doing any kind of transactions in crypto though. And blockchain adoption, of course, has low-code platforms because this allows people to build their own assets. Like we will see how people can use a voxel editor to actually build any kind of a thing on the sandbox ecosystem. And so these are low-code or even no-code platforms. You can go on Roblox, you can go on Sandbox, you can create your own game, which people have to pay money to participate in, and you don't need to know any coding to be able to do that. Architecting such things is quite sophisticated. Somebody was telling me like programmers in Roblox, architects in Roblox get paid like millions of dollars a year in salary, and it is because of the sophistication of these platforms involved, and blockchain adoption, of course. Now, some of the characteristics of metaverses. We are mostly covering theory over here because it's good. We'll come back to a lot of practicals right after this particular session. So ephemerality, embodiment, immersion, persistence, synchronicity, then decentralization, concurrency, interoperability, and the ability to have like a fully functioning economy. These are all different characteristics of a metaverse. Let's go into each one of them one at a time. So when I say, I have to go back over here. Yeah. So when I say ephemerality, it essentially means that in the physical world, most of our daily communications, etc., when we're talking to people, they are ephemeral. We will talk to somebody, they will hear it, and there's no record of it that is kept anywhere. In contrast, so this is called ephemerality. So it is communicated, absorbed, and left. It's not really recorded. In contrast, emails that we send, social media updates that we do, these are all persistent. They're saved in databases. They can be brought back tomorrow in the future. So it is important to have good conversation, or to have a good experience in the metaverse. Ephemerality is important. We don't want anything and everything being recorded. Like, what was the route that I took to enter a particular portal? Portal as in a game portal, which will let me teleport to somewhere else, is totally immaterial. But the fact that I entered that portal and moved from this particular virtual world to that particular virtual world, that might be useful, and it could end up being recorded. Another thing is that recording these transactions on a blockchain are always very expensive. There are solutions to it via side chains and ZK rollups, etc. But we will touch upon them later. So this is ephemerality. Embodiment. So in the metaverse, we'll be able to communicate not only through typing on a keyboard or looking at a screen, but through our physicality. Right? Avatars will reflect our real bodily movement because we'll be able to wear haptic suits, and especially with the fingers and hands, there'll be touch controls, etc. We'll be able to hold objects, place them from here to there. And this technology already exists today. It's just very expensive. Just a matter of time before it becomes economical and affordable for everybody. And this is what embodiment means. Immersion. we will communicate in ways that make us feel as if we are actually in a specific place with other people. So almost everybody that talks about the metaverse talks about immersive experience, and that is what we are trying to do. It should look and feel like you're standing right in front of me and I'm interacting along with you. And because now I have like embodiment, I can literally build something, create something over here pretty similar to how you've seen in Minority Report, etc. You can collaborate with me on the same thing, and it'll be like a pretty interesting exercise and experience. Then persistence, synchronicity. So persistence essentially means what I had shared earlier also. Some things, if I change something today, like say I build a house on an empty plot of land today, right? And tomorrow if I come over there, ephemerality, and I don't see it, it is no maza. If I make it, but you as another person is not able to see the house that I have made over there, again, no maza. Persistence is a very important thing as well. Even though ephemerality and persistence go in opposite direction, they are both equally important towards having a strong immersive experience. Making sense so far, or these like, I should just rush through these things?
No, this is awesome.
Okay, cool. Then next is synchronicity. Now, experiences on a metaverse are consistent and function of unmediated reality. So events happen on occasion, but most interaction and experiences are not subject to predetermined schedules of people. You know, so like you do something, you did it 1 millisecond, like I'm dropping a big NFT over here, you're standing right over here, I dropped it, and it is supposed to be persistent, right? You're now seeing it right now itself, and that is it. It's recorded at a particular point in time at one particular block height, transaction fixed, NFT there, nothing can happen to it anymore. So it's all pretty synchronous, and there's so many such transactions that might be happening in parallel, but they will all get recorded one after another on the blockchain whenever they do, right? So that is what we refer to as synchronicity. Even in non-Web3 metaverses where blockchains are not involved, synchronicity does end up being important to just keep a record of time or evolution, what happened. You know, so we can literally see a city being evolved from like a barren land to, you know, towards having small houses, towards ending up building its own skyscrapers, but we could run it through a timeline and see what happened at different periods of time. And that is a very important period, element of, you know, a metaverse too. Okay, then decentralized. So especially when it comes to Web3, no single company owns the metaverse. Even Web2 companies will make their metaverses somewhat decentralized. They would want to let their users, like suppose Meta is letting their users have their own home, right? Now the user ends up doing a bunch of customizations in their own home. They would want to let this user continue having it and own it even if they choose to leave Meta, because they have invested a lot of time and energy building this stuff. If they do not give this kind of you know, self-sovereignty to their users, they are going to face a significant amount of user churn. So decentralization essentially means that no single entity can own a metaverse. It is a collective, and you know, users, content creators, or different kinds of developers, investors, all of these guys come together and participate in it like how they would participate in a DAO. That is you know, highly likely. People want representation when it comes to the shared environment that they are all experiencing. So games also, they give you a good amount of player agency, but they don't allow you to do anything and everything. There aren't a lot of rules, etc. written. In fact, games have a very clear agenda. You can only do this much and not that much. Metaverses to a great extent allow you to do anything, or to an extent of creating your own games. And you know, the community needs to figure out like, hey, what are going to be the laws by which we abide, because I can literally end up doing anything over here. Take the restrictions of technology, is a very the ethics of operating within a metaverse are all very interesting conversations that are going around the world these days. All right, next is concurrency. Concurrency is like ideally it'll be a very patchy experience. Like Decentraland Labs until about 3 months ago, Decentraland until about three months ago could not. By the way, guys, we have gone so much in theory. We've not yet seen what a metaverse looks like. Is there anybody over here who's not been to a metaverse yet? Can you just mention on your chat?
I haven't been.
I haven't either.
Okay, cool, awesome. So my bad. It was totally there in my mind to first go through something like a Decentraland and then continue, because it sets context. So let me quickly jump on to share my screen, and let's go inside a metaverse, see what it looks like, and then come back over here and go through the theory again. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes. Sure.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Give me a moment. So Decentraland is one of the earlier metaverses on Web3 metaverses on blockchain, and the pioneer. A lot of metaverses have come after it, and of course one of the most prominent metaverses in the world today. So in the past we've seen MetaMask and how do we go about doing stuff over here. I just hope this time around it connects so that it's not too much of a load. Last time during the NFT session, it didn't. I think we're gonna struggle with request you all to turn off your video, and even though it won't make too much of a difference, but let's just try. Okay, some progress. We'll let it run in the background, guys, because it has to load. So this is built on Unity, and there'll be like thousands of assets that'll be downloaded while they try to recreate that virtual world, which we will be able to enter. So it does take its time. Let me complete where I was at, and we'll come back to Decentraland once it has loaded. Yeah. So we were at concurrency. And it's essentially that being persistent, being synchronous will allow each user to have a personalized and unique experience, and concurrency will allow them to be more engaged because there's just more happening in real time. And this is a technology issue. Now all Web3 metaverses are not concurrent today, like nowhere close to like even being 1,000th as concurrent as their Web2 counterparts. Next, interoperability. Now, how uncool will it? So what's one of the biggest problems with Web2 games? So you invest a lot of time buying a lot of assets, building up your avatar, and you reach a level, you complete the game, and then all the cool guns that you had, all the cool gear that you had earned over there, that goes for a toss. There's like nothing that you can do with it. How cool would it be if you on your if you're a Dota player, you can end up using your gun on PUBG, right? Or if you are a level 90 Call of Duty player, when you come to another first-person shooter game, you're automatically upgraded to a particular level because you've already established yourself as an avid gamer. So these things are just not possible. In fact, it's a very, very big problem in the Web2 metaverse. And these are things that Web3 metaverses are awesome at. Now, literally, if you are, you have a CryptoPunk as one avatar, right? So many people can end up being interoperable with CryptoPunks as, and then when you go over there, you have the same amount of status and that your CryptoPunk actually owns and holds, and nobody else will be able to replicate that avatar because other than CryptoPunk's smart contracts, the other smart contracts are not authorized to be playing in that metaverse. Is it making sense, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. And lastly, fully functioning economy. If we don't end up creating an economy for people, it will again end up being leading to a high amount of churn. But with an engaging economy, especially with cryptocurrencies, a cryptocurrency becomes the native economy of each metaverse. Like Sandbox has sand, Decentraland has mana, right? And people can earn sand, earn mana, and they need to spend sand, spend mana to do a variety of things too. So long as you're designing it in a way that is very similar to how you can earn a lot of coins while playing a game, and you have to spend these coins to be able to accelerate yourself in a game. So the best of game dynamics are used over here. But given that metaverse is so much more than just gaming, it is important that we have various constructs for people to be able to work on the metaverse, for people to be able to earn on the metaverse, for people to be able to spend on the metaverse. And if we get time to discuss socially, we can also see how between metaverses we should allow people to economies to trade with other economies, much very similar to how we have trade channels, partnerships between nation states today. Okay, I think by now Decentraland would have loaded on my Chrome. Let me just check. All right. Stopping share, getting on to Chrome. Chrome, because I have a different wallet on that against Brave. I'll have to sign into Decentraland with this wallet. Okay, so this is me. That's my avatar. I can see it in first person or third person. I can use the ASDF keys to move around, and I can just utilize my mouse to change the view to whatever view I want it to be. Are you sure you want to quit the tutorial? Yes. It's just poorly programmed, where it always asks for it. So right now I'm using my mouse to be able to look at different angles in the metaverse. You'll possibly see it in a slightly patchy way, right? There are different kind of peoples. This is called the plaza. So everybody, when they type Decentraland or play.decentraland.org, they land up over here. You can jump inside this hole that you're seeing, and then you'll randomly join into one of the metaverses, right? So let us just explore around a little bit and see like what are going on over here. So these are events that are going on live right now. We can jump into any of those, or we can also go up and jump inside, and it'll take us to a new world. See, people can have any kind of an avatar over there. These are the famous. That's like a famous crypto punk that we can see whose photo has been put over there. Let's see if it is interactable, and we are able to check whether it's an authentic crypto punk or is it just this thing. Sorry. Right, but you get an idea, right? So it's pretty similar to a game. You can go out, do a bunch of things. Very, very patchy. You can chat with people, you can teleport, you can jump around, you can collect NFTs. There are various different quests that are done that can be created over here. In fact, Coca-Cola and many other brands on Decentraland have ended up buying their land and built some pretty interesting things over there. Maybe towards the last part when we're doing demos, we'll come back to Decentraland and just see something like Samsung had District 347 or something like that, which was pretty sophisticated. Like it had a world within a world kind of a thing, which I'd like you guys to see. So clear, this is how Metaverse really looks like. Where is Saurabh and where's chat? All right, Saurabh, what skill sets and experiences are needed to enter the Metaverse and Web3 in general? Saurabh, we'll take that. We'll take that in the final Q&A. But to answer your question immediately, specifically when it comes to the Metaverse, you need to, if you need to be good. You can go there from the perspective of design, or you can go there from the perspective of development. Of course, you can go from a perspective of business also. But could you give me a background, Saurabh?
Hi, so I'm just exploring it from a say business standpoint. As a newbie, for example, Web3 is an all encompassing word, right? So metaverse, I have seen some videos on YouTube where people can go and do a part-time job, for example, right?
Correct.
In Decentraland, I've seen them do it. Now, so there could be a tech a skill that I require to maybe build a metaverse, right? That is one angle.
Yeah.
Another is as a consumer I can do it, as a marketer I can do it. These
Yeah.
are some perspectives that I'm keen to hear some answers from.
Sure. Wonderful. Thank you. So let me take your question right now itself. So as a developer, you would want to be good at Unreal Engine or Unity. Like Decentraland is built on Unity, Sandbox is built on Unity, right? So all of these first person, third person views that you're seeing of the metaverse, they are built using game engines right now. NVIDIA has created Omniverse, which kind of is natively integrated with both Unity and Unreal, gives you a variety of other use cases too, more so on the enterprise side. But what's most important is that it gives you a very massive amount of cloud storage. So you can literally stream every screen rather than utilizing your computer's GPU to do stuff. So in future, like especially with 5G coming of age, it'll be you would be able to create 10x more enhanced experiences. Like you would literally fly through buildings with very high level of detail, like a Superman. When you're turning around, you're able to see those buildings, etc. Possibly because they are streaming in faster than the frame rate that has been coded to create these rich experiences. So these become possible as well. And Omniverse most likely is going to be a cloud-first metaverse when it comes to. So on the tech side, those are the things. On the design side, you need to be good at 3D designing tools. There are a multitude of tools that are required, and there are different kind of metaverses that exist also. Like, so there are low poly metaverses, there are high poly metaverses, there are hyper realistic metaverses, there are voxel based metaverses. So voxel based is completely square gridish. Low poly is something like Decentraland, what we saw. Somnium space is something that we will see in the future maybe. So that's also a low poly model. A high poly is honestly not possible on to be rendered on web, but and yeah, a lot of high poly stuff does not exist right now. But with Unreal Engine 5 coming out, high poly metaverses would also be seen. Like the high poly Web3 metaverses will also be seen. From a marketing perspective, there is a bunch of stuff. When we go through some of the subsequent examples, just remind me and I'll share you various things that you could do. So if you're a designer, you can end up building assets. Like you can build up clothes, you can build a window, you can build a laptop as a 3D model of the same and put it on a decentralized marketplace. And people who, and possibly create it as a limited edition collection also, right? So only 100 of these exist. Hence there is artificial scarcity. People, if they need a laptop and they don't want to create their own laptop, they might just end up purchasing it from the marketplace for you. Again, so many creators already have built so many things that it's a very rich ecosystem right now. Anything that you can search for, you're generally able to find it. But it's still not. It's still early days. There would be billions of things that can be cooked up and created. And it's also a lot of it is left to creativity. And from the marketing perspective, metaverses also to a great extent operate like NFT projects, and the same amount of community, the same amount of, I'm presuming you're comfortable or you're fairly familiar with the Web3 space. Saurabh?
Well, I'm scratching the surface because it is really a very vast field, so to speak. So in terms of NFT, Web3, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and I also realize that they, although having knowledge of all of them is important, but I think one can also exist independent of the other.
Yeah. So, we are in week 6 right now, but yeah, because it's like a lot of things, we kind of try to cover all of these because they interplay. I think it'll help you to go through at least the 6 topics that are covered in this particular curriculum, because I feel if you are comfortable with these 6, you can do almost anything, and you can't specialize in anything. So this is a very generalist level education, but it'll be useful. So for example, DeFi, NFTs, they come together to create a play to earn economy as a game in a metaverse. Okay. So again, from the marketing perspective, you would have to think of it as possibly an NFT project, and with any NFT project or any Web3 project in general, it is community first. It is community first because the value of the token is determined by the community. Like if nobody is willing to buy it or use it for various kind of functions, then its price will go down to zero always. So we need champions, and that's why community becomes important. And the best NFT projects, they get sold out in minutes. There are vast majority, 95% of them don't get sold out beyond 1 or 2 NFTs out of their 1,000, 10,000 item collection. So that is the difference. You will literally have to build community. You'll have to create a DAO and then go ahead with it. We'll talk about more as time comes, but I think it gives you at least some direction to start exploring.
Sure, it does. I actually come from a Web 2, marketing side. I've been in digital marketing since 2011, and with things exploding in Web 3, I'm now planning to transition to Web 3 now. Yeah.
Talk to. So there are like 2-3 people, Kavya, Asit, from our marketing team as well. You can totally talk to them, and they would be able to guide you well.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Pleasure. Okay, so we always cover layers. Layers are important to understand, where in the value chain should we try to innovate. And many of us are techies, or at least in the past, people who've been participating are techies. So at the baseline, there's the infrastructure layer. We talk about 5G, Wi-Fi, etc. Right? So this is what will let the communication layer, so to speak, underlying where zeros and ones and bits are being transferred to each other. All the massive amounts of computing that are required to render these views. When somebody is viewing at a different place, they see things from a particular angle. That whole thing for this particular view needs to be rendered oftentimes real time, right? So all this stuff requires large amounts of compute. So that's where GPUs, etc. come in. Then is like the touch sensitivity, so haptics, gestures, smart glasses, the mobile phones that you guys are using to experience the metaverse. Then comes decentralization. Edge computing is a very important piece of it, because if everything is coming from a remote server, again, there will be a couple of hops, too much of a lag. But if it is coming from an edge network, you end up saving seconds, but you definitely end up saving hundreds of milliseconds. And in stuff like immersive experiences, these hundreds of milliseconds also count. AI agents, because oftentimes they might be able to solve locally stuff for you, which otherwise you have to go to a server to get a response. Microservices and blockchains for various kind of API calls, hooks, recording transaction onto blockchain, etc. This is all like technology is happening over here. So if you end up writing a layer 2 scaling protocol, it's falling in this particular layer. Then the spatial computing layer. This is particularly important, and it is like the heart of metaverse, because this is where the 3D engines, the gaming engines, etc. come out. And there are several games which have a location aspect to it. For example, if you guys have seen StepN, the NFT collection on Solana, it's been making a lot of news for the last 4 to 6 months since it launched. So essentially, there are NFT shoes that you purchase, then you pump it with some energy by being active in a day, and once it has energy, you need to consistently walk. There are different kinds of shoes with different levels of earning potential, and so if suppose you've got a racing shoe, then you've got a sprint for 5 minutes because you've got energy for 5 minutes. And if you sprint for those 5 minutes, you end up earning a lot of StepN tokens. And then you can buy these StepN tokens you can use these StepN tokens to buy a new shoe, right? Now, this has elements of geolocation involved in it also. And geospatial mapping is a very important aspect of the practical real world to virtual world kind of use cases, you know, which we will see in the metaverse. Then creator economy. So what I just mentioned to sort of you creating all of these assets, putting it out on a marketplace so that others could end up purchase them and use them in a game, in a metaverse, etc. All of that is where creator economy comes. Then there is the discovery. As it happens, you know, we need a search engine to operate in the web. We will need similar or curation platforms to be able to find what are the right places to go to uh, for to get things done on the metaverse. We guys at Wow Labs are building a pretty interesting piece of technology called Metaport. So it lets you travel between any metaverses before without going into the browser and entering like a lot of nifty details over there, right? So these kind of stuff will fall in the discovery layer. And finally, the experience layer. This experience layer is, you know, the application of layer of the OSI stack, where we guys, human beings, interact with stuff, the final end products that we guys are utilizing. So games, social, esports, theater, shopping, all of these are good use cases. Everything that we guys have been seeing, talking about so far is mostly in the experience layer. I did mention haptic and smart glasses, these things a couple of times. This is the single biggest bottleneck for metaverse adoption today. The software has come of age, the hardware on the cloud already exists, but we aren't able to. We don't hardware in terms of the compute side, etc. already exists, but we are not able to make this hardware that allows us to give inputs to metaverses economical or affordable enough for mainstream adoption just yet. So this is the bottleneck right now in this layer. Should be solved in the next 5 years. Though AR, VR, XR coming of age, we've been listening this for the last 15 years, really. If not 15, at least last 12 to 14 years, right? 2008, I remember, like, we were looking at, hey, let's do augmented realities, like, awesome cutting edge SDKs getting created. By 2011, so many companies around the world had gotten started with augmented reality, etc. Still, it has not come of age. So that's one limiting factor. Various companies working throughout this stack, and I really want to give credit to this guy John Radoff. So multiple slides in this presentation are from the research that this gentleman has done, and he's written a series of posts on Medium on building the metaverse. He has himself created a platform that allows people to build metaverses, and he comes from a background of game development and game design. Game of Thrones, the game, right, was awarded to his agency. He was the creative director of that game. The game was nowhere close to as popular as the series. And a lot of restrictions were there also for him, but out and out amazing guy. I think Harsha from our team is also in touch with him. Maybe some point in time we do a Metaverse Summit, we will invite him. There is something that we guys are planning at WoW, by the way, to do that. And all of you are invited to it as well. All right, so enough of one-sided me talking. Let us hear from you. Where did the term metaverse originate from? Was it derived from the 1984 novel, the very famous novel by George Orwell, 1984? Was it derived from the 1992 cyberpunk novel called Snow Crash, derived from Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, or derived from Echo, the Echo Wife by Sarah Gale? If we have, guys, do we have this quiz? Okay, then you can just chat, put it on your chat, guys. Don't go to Google for it. Okay, everybody knows stuff. It's coming from Snow Crash. Use cases, virtual spaces, we've already discussed, enhanced social media experiences. A lot of social media networks by themselves will end up, being on the metaverse, like Facebook. All of Facebook will be on the metaverse. I think Chingari has launched its own $Gari token. They will be on a Web3 metaverse of their own. Virtual businesses and markets, they have a lot of interest on the metaverse, because if people are going there and they have money and this is money that they have earned relatively easily compared to money that they have earned in the physical world, then they will also spend it with little fewer inhibitions on the metaverse. And that is why it makes sense for brands and businesses to be on the metaverse. And then there are a plethora of use cases of blockchains, some of which we've already covered in the past. Now, military, education, healthcare, real estate, manufacturing, uh, immersive commerce, collaboration, travel, automotive, fitness. These are all real world industries, that will become more and more immersive, and plenty of use cases that will come over here. Esports are essentially gaming, fantasy sports, and the like. Live virtual concert, volumetric live streaming, revive history, advertising. The list kind of goes on, right? Let's just look into some of these things. So in healthcare, nurses are actually today using these kind of, uh, Google Glass based and VR based, augmented reality based visualizations to detect where is the right vein to be able to inject. There are doctors that are able to perform procedures, and there are several startups in the healthcare space that are primarily providing these augmented reality aids to the healthcare industry. It has still not been adopted en masse, but several startups are there, several funded startups are there. Military. So in the defense, there's something called tactical augmented reality. And these are pretty sophisticated goggles what these guys are wearing. And they're able to do a bunch of interesting stuff along with haptics on it. Alongside that, there are also entire environments that can be simulated by the defense. So these environments are also utilized for AI to come up with better technologies. We had the opportunity of building something and at least presenting it to one defense establishment, but that is on the AI side of things. And once these kind of models and these worlds get created, there is so much of role playing and that is possible, and simulation that is possible. So in the army, my father is a retired colonel from the Indian Army, and there are these routine exercises which are also designed like games. So where and you have like complete battle arenas which are utilized to help officers work on their strategy, and everybody just be combat ready if the need is required. So all of those things can really be simulated much more effectively, and the impact of decisions be analyzed much better if it is happening on the metaverse. On the manufacturing side, already now this is one area where augmented reality has really become really successful, and there's been widespread adoption. So a lot of world's leading automotive manufacturers, they have repair instructions in augmented reality. You see in front of you, you see like a 3D model of that floating in the air. They tell you exactly what to do then and there. It's mostly for mechanics and their own assembly line automation workers, but it has seen widespread adoption already. One more thing on the manufacturing side that I mentioned was also with respect to being able to create digital twins of some of these things and just utilize them for a bunch of machine learning models on, I think manufacturing will not be like the best use case for these machine learning models, but yeah, it ends up being very handy when we want to predict, like say, self-driving cars. Where should they end up going? So instead of really collecting data, going on streets with big cameras, you end up creating an entire simulation which is as good as a real world simulation, and running your AI algorithms on telling the car which direction to go. Those are things that are possible. And this is the kind of big bet that NVIDIA Omniverse is also taking right now. Real estate, literal digital twins. Now they've been used to making models, and this is also an area where virtual reality, virtual walkthroughs, etc. of 3D space, these are the pioneers, these are the guys that really gave a fighting chance for that industry to thrive and blossom, because they were ahead. But yeah, so much more and so much more immersiveness will be possible in the real estate sector. With virtual reality headsets and gears, you can literally see every nook and corner, do a bunch of customizations. In fact, one of Bangalore's leading green real estate players, Total Environment, they have created, and so about 5 years ago, we guys also pitched one similar solution to them. And they have today a virtual environment wherein you can go and customize your own total environment home. You can decide, where the plug points are going to be, how big the bed would be, what will be the materials used, and it gives you like a complete bill of materials at the end of this entire exercise. So you can customize your own house as per your aesthetic tastes, and the cost of doing the same is all calculated in an app. Education is going to be one industry which will definitely adopt a lot. So many very high resolution models have been already created, but these headsets have not reached every single household. But because immersive education engages multiple different sense organs, and it is kind of scientifically proven that the more number of sense organs that you stimulate at the time of learning, the greater the recall. So this is definitely a very big area. Then live virtual concerts. You guys need to see some of these videos. I'll share it on chat or the group. Amazing stuff has happened over here. Like there are at least 5-6 different companies that are totally dedicated to only doing concerts on the metaverse, and we will go into some of these as well when we do demos, etc. Like the Lair Mehndi did his concert in this platform called Party Night. Interestingly, they've not done anything after that concert. There's another Indian metaverse called Yugverse, which has hosted weddings and a bunch of stuff. So esports, gaming, and metaverse, I should not highlight on it more. Yeah? And then because of a thriving metaverse economy, brands find themselves, deeply interested in coming over there, and they participate as an enabler, as a celebrant, as an authenticator, via NFT gated access, and so on, so many things. So let's drive down a little deeper into brands, because this is courses about Web3 for entrepreneurs, so commercial opportunities are useful. Nike. So this is how Roblox looks. Nike has ended up investing millions of dollars in creating this whole space on Roblox called Nike Land. And it also sells its own digital sneakers in Nike Land, and you can do so many things over there. So shall we see how this thing looks? I think it'll
Yes.
be boring if I just
Yes.
for too long. Let me join in from my iPad, because this is Roblox. I have Roblox on my iPad. Kavya, could you please, Asit, Kavya, one of you, could you please just Slack me this URL? Because on my personal machine there's Slack, but no calendar sync. So this is what Roblox looks like. And you've got very simple avatars over here. And this is Nike Land. It shows up over here because I've been there before. Let's go away. You can also search for, let's say, Gucciverse. So there's Gucci Town, for example. I think they had a garden. We'll just see which one is the right one. Okay, let's go to Nike Land. So these are people can go ahead anywhere. They can own one area and end up creating. I don't want to spend too much time saying, but there will be like different kind of stress that will happen. That we can have. We can, for example, we can choose, okay, after we have things and I participate. Sure, because last time that I came across wanted to reach somewhere at least with this video. Sorry for the indulgence, but that's how it looks. And millions and millions of users come, on Roblox to participate in, this kind of whatever we guys were doing over here. I'm of course not a skilled player, but these kids literally are able to move super fast, do a variety of things. So that's what this thing looks like. I'll stop sharing my screen from here and get back control to something new. Sorry.
Amit, just a question here, Ravindra.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just was wondering if what is the revenue stream for them for Nike? You can actually buy things from this.
You can actually buy digital Nike sneakers from here. So
okay.
Not just that, there are several other revenue streams also. So Roblox has its own native currency called Robux. Right? And so if we go to, I think somewhere over here would be these guys. I seem to have some Robux with myself. There is a market special. These are possibly the things that I own, and I own nothing. But there will be definitely mechanisms. There will be mechanisms for me to also buy stuff. Like I can't spin because I don't have. Maybe there are also qualifying criteria. Almost necessarily every metaverse has a marketplace. I don't know where it is. And this Roblox by itself is like a multiverse of many different metaverses. Like right now we are in this Nike, from this point. But stop broadcast. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Well, I'll show you a marketplace on another metaverse which I'm more familiar with. Let me just share this screen.
Sure.
You remember like that sandbox thing which I was talking about, a whole grid in the beginning. There's sandbox already open over here. And wow, we've got a map, we've got a market. Let's go over here. So in the marketplace, you can buy interesting things. I think it's a tiara. No, it's some sort of glasses, right? Somebody has made like a nice wooden tractor. All of these using different kind of voxels, innovative, nice stuff, right? And these things are all sold for different things. So this is what this is how any creator can end up making money on the metaverse. And of course, if Nike has built a metaverse for themselves, all the money will go directly to them. You can also end up buying land parcels from the marketplace, and these are different worlds inside. Like I told you, Atari has a virtual casino that they've made. They will let them buy various kind of interesting things from here. Okay, these are all like different avatars, and these are, so every single item over here is an NFT. Even Snoop Dogg has a very big, so he's a, I think people would know him, very famous rapper, and especially famous in the Web3 space. And all of these materials, whatever you end up creating, these are NFTs. These NFTs also will have their own amount of rarity. That's why they say rare over here, on the basis of how many of them exist. So if there's only one of it that exists and super rare, if there are like 10,000 such items, then people will not even buy it for like 0.1 cent, etc. Right? So this is how marketplaces work. This is, and most metaverses today, they operate inside a map. So this is like the big sandbox metaverse. If we zoom out, we can see all of it. Let's just give it some time to render. Right? And if we zoom in, we can see like each one of these small little things, right? This is like a land parcel. It'll have like a row and a column name, and we will be able to buy it from here. We can also buy it from OpenSea, which is an NFT marketplace. To buy it, you need to bid for it, and the person who already owns it will be able to take it. You need to generally take about 4, 6, 8, you want more than one parcel to build something meaningful, because these are very small pieces of land when it comes to deploying something in that particular virtual space, right? So most people will end up taking at least 9 land parcels, and given that each land parcel is upwards of 1 ETH, so you need to be a relatively you need to have a good amount of crypto to be able to buy land on Sandbox these days. They've moved their land purchases from their marketplace to this place. Okay, then what else do we have? I'm going back to the deck. So yeah, this is like what the entire space looks like. We guys, landed over here. We could run around. This is something new that these guys are building. And yeah, so Nike Land is enhanced by real life movement. So if you're actually walking around, shaking your phone and doing all of those things, you automatically get power and energy, and you need that power and energy to be able to hoop a ball or do a bunch of other things on Nike. And these kind of constructs can totally be created. This is the answer to your question. It was there in the deck. How do they make money? This is the gear, they said. This is on Decentraland. This is something that Samsung made, 837X. It's an interesting experience. Again, we will go back to it if necessary. Even they have created their own NFTs, and which are all visible and can be bought from OpenSea. This is what it looks like. So initially you go outside, you can go inside. In this particular area, there will be different kind of portals available. You can go inside one portal and you land up over here. This is something that they focused completely on their green and sustainability initiative. As you move around the jungle, you'll be able to see different floating banners where you can read about stuff. that they've done, you can also end up collecting some of these gems that are distributed randomly. So this is to encourage people to roam around more and go to every nook and cranny of that particular space. Hyundai is doing some pretty interesting stuff. They are betting big on metaverses. They, of course, have their own space on Roblox as well. And they have created a 10,000 collection of these 3D gorillas called Metapongs. Yeah, so 10,000 is usually the standard number in which people launch their metaverse collections. And this clubbed with Hyundai's 3D digital assets become stuff that you can utilize to move around Roblox and other kind of metaverses. So this is their virtual city. And like I told, Roblox is not just one metaverse. It's not a map. It allows anybody to create their own metaverse and roam around and do stuff in it. So that's how Hyundai has done it. And these are metapongs. So if you own the NFT, you own the car, you can use both of these things. So this person as your avatar, this person, this NFT as your asset, use it to move around. You can stake your avatar, earn some crypto on it. You can lease out your car, you can sell it, do a bunch of things like you do in the real world. Next, Coca-Cola. This is a very metaverse-centric Coke can that they've created specifically. It only exists on the metaverse, and yes, you need to pay for it to be able to, buy it. And they hosted a very nice rooftop party on Decentraland. It doesn't exist anymore, I think, but we can go back to Decentraland, try to find District 837X and this Coca-Cola. Then Heineken was quick to follow Coke, and it launched its own virtual beer. This is stuff that you can earn, you can purchase, and definitely there will be like very interesting things that are happening. Now, does it make any sense to buy some of these goods in a virtual environment? Possibly not, but there is a certain amount of novelty that is associated with, being able to hold a limited edition Heineken can over here. And brands care not just about, what is the monetary benefit out of it. They care about how talk-worthy, how buzzworthy is the stuff that I'm doing. So brands are all jumping on the metaverse bandwagon to initially create that hype. Another 2-3 months, there will be not much hype left to be created. Metaverse already, in terms of Google search result popularity or search query rankings, it has already started seeing its downward slope for the last 2-3 months. And after that, brands might, stop doing it primarily from the marketing department's budget, but might start doing it from their long-term branding perspectives. So this is the Heineken store in Decentraland. So if you're going ahead and building your own metaverse and you can get some of these brands to come on over there, the value of your token is going to appreciate real quick. Wendy's has done something very similar. Atari's got like a big badass casino, and okay, is it on Decentraland? I thought it was on Sandbox. Either way, so okay, fine. This casino looks like it's on Decentraland. Atari has totally got plans towards launching a similar casino on Sandbox as well. So that's like some interesting examples. We'll break for Q&A soon, but before that, one question. Which is the first bank to set up shop in the metaverse? Agricultural Bank of China, HSBC Holdings Private PLC, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. Any guesses, guys? You can unmute yourself and share as well.
Guessing JP Morgan?
Any other guesses?
HSBC?
Sure. Any other guesses?
HSBC?
No, it's JP Morgan. So, I do not know where did they launch. I think they launched on Decentraland, and they did it way back in early 2021 itself. So This is their lounge and everything. Somebody has become the avatar of a tiger roaming around freely inside the bank premises, but that's cool. That's what you can get to do in the metaverse, which you can't do in the real world. So yeah. So Louis Vuitton. So Louis Vuitton in the NFT thing, we all know Beeple. Beeple is the guy who sold the 5,000 days NFT for whopping $69 million. So he's by far a celebrity, when or the world's #1 digital artist. And Louis Vuitton hired people to create like a series of NFTs and launch their own metaverse, like literally a complete virtual metaverse. It was not on Roblox, not on Decentraland. It was Louis Vuitton's own metaverse, and other people could go inside, do a variety of things, and to earn these NFT collectibles. This is Gucci Town on Roblox. Very interesting how it looks and the different kind of things that you can do. There are a lot of Gucci gardens. I think it was a part of a quest that Gucci have. Forever 21. Now they did a very novel thing. Instead of building their own big mega store on the metaverse, they gave people a blueprint. Like, was this what a store looks like? You can put a Forever 21 store wherever. And this is where one of you guys asked a question, right? People are renting out their time doing stuff. So, if you can put a Forever 21 store on your land and somebody walks inside, you sell Forever 21 merchandise, you get to keep majority of the money. Forever gets only a small percentage of that. No, but if somebody comes inside and there's a sale to be made, then it will be somebody managing the customer, right? So this is what you would literally rent your time for. You end up making money in the metaverse. Well, like there are many possibilities. This is just one of them, which very closely emulates a real world scenario. This is Travis Scott's concert on Fortnite. Like 48 million people, and you guys need to see it on YouTube. Looked beautiful. Marshall, Rift Tour, Ariana Grande. So, on You Metaverse, Tata hosted a holy party years ago. And it was like a sensation. This is how it is. Like. From space, specifically, many such can be built, and this is like very, very, very similar in the world of space. About space jobs.
आते हैं 40,000 में लास्ट 2-3 साल पहले का बात है एक आता है हाँ उसको बॉम्बे वाला आउटलेट से पूछोगे तो वो
Can somebody just mute her? Thank you. Cool. Back, this was one shadi that happened in the metaverse. It wasn't particularly great. Some live streaming was there. It's relatively easy to make metaverse with this level of fidelity. Like we have multiple such things built at WoW as well. This was done on party night, the Lail Mehendi. You gotta check it out. It was pretty awesome. Didn't expect such high level of thought to be put inside it, but it really worked out very well. Party night has since then not launched again. They've ended up creating a separate small metaverse called Balle Balle Land for the Lail Mehendi in their space. But yeah, go check it. These are all PR stunts. He clearly is not the first guy to buy land, but yes, Balle Balle Land, he has put his own thing, which is high on swag. Tanesh, bunch of people, have, a bunch of brands from India have also already adopted the metaverse, and all the brands that I am talking to are working very actively, are very interested in figuring out what they can do on the metaverse, on the Web3 space. They really want to just, start and establish their presence, and then they'll go wherever. So we guys at WoW have, built metaverses. We've in fact built a protocol called Socially, which builds interoperable metaverses, Web3 metaverses, and it gives them on the fly. So we will be onboarding a bunch of brands on Socially pretty soon. So like I mentioned earlier, the future of metaverses are extremely immersive, highly interoperable, and definitely this is a very exciting time to be a startup, to be an entrepreneur in the metaverse space. Depending upon which report you read, the entire metaverse economy is going to be by 2030 between 8 and 13 trillion dollars, and at least $1 trillion of it is going to be in the Web3 software-based metaverses stack. These are self-sovereign metaverses. Web2 metaverses will also take like a much bigger chunk. And we are talking about the experience layer on top, like the metaverses by themselves. The bigger chunk of this entire pie is going to be taken by the hardware and the innovations that are happening on that particular side in that entire stack. This is a never-ending deck, but I think I'm done with all the things that I wanted to cover. I think I'll just quickly share various top metaverses that exist. Decentraland, we've already seen. Sandbox, we've already seen. Axie Infinity, we've already covered during the gaming session. And, they unfortunately had a hack. Horizon Worlds is a Web2 metaverse, which is being created by Facebook. And these people don't have their lower halves right now on Horizon Worlds. Pretty interesting. Like, it is live, it's working. It's for the last 6 months, but it's in public beta. Not everybody has access. We guys have also not gotten our access to Horizon Worlds just yet. Roblox, we've already seen. Somnium Space, I cannot demo you from my Mac. But what I showed with Uberverse, right, where the Tata Tea hosted its party, identical, very similar looking in terms of an experience, with Somnium Space. Engine is a fantastic. It's a blockchain that is created primarily to enhance gaming and NFT-based metaverses. So natively supports a lot of things that you would want to do for Web3 metaverse here. And these are some of the top. These are some of the top decentralized Web3 projects or coins that are there. So ApeCoin, which is used in other side, which is like rank 1, Mana rank 2, which is the Decentraland's native currency, Sandbox's native currency, AXS, Axie Infinity's native currency. This is more only if anybody wants to go into the theory side of things and which are the various companies that are working on the metaverse ecosystem across different geographies. And again, like as we go forward from now till 2030, how are things possibly going to evolve? So they're definitely going to be horizontal primitives like entities, objects, marketplaces, payments, etc. And there will be multiple different worlds, all of them interoperable via a metaverse. And then on top of the metaverses, there will be entire economies where people will be able to work on, play, spend, do a variety of things. The underlying stuff will always be, the invisible tech stack, but the most critical tech stack, which will include blockchains, GPUs, cloud computing, edge networks, etc. Various companies across the stack. And the last part, I think this is important. And this is if you want to invest in the metaverse, where can you start? What all can you do? You can definitely buy some metaverse crypto. What we earlier saw, Dollar Sand, Mana, Ape, all of these are metaverse cryptocurrencies. You can just go into any exchange and buy them if they are there listed on that exchange. You can acquire metaverse land. So if you remember when I went to Sandbox, we could just purchase a particular land parcel. We'll also go to OpenSea and see how the whole piece works. If any of you interested in buying metaverse land over here today, we can then go and do that thing and see how it works on OpenSea. Anybody interested? I'll check my chat also. Cool. Then you can rent or buy prefabricated metaverse buildings. If you rent it, you can decorate it in whatever way. It's not particularly expensive to rent them these days, but it's very challenging to do so. And none of the metaverses have made it super simple for somebody to operate like a large prefabricated building out of the box. So Roblox, etc., are ahead of the curve when it comes to these. You can purchase metaverse stocks. Now, there are ETFs that have been launched, which you can directly invest in if you're investing in metaverses as a thesis. In India, Small Case has some metaverse specific, stock options there, or at least it had a few months back. And otherwise, you can just make a list of companies from India and the US, wherever you can buy stocks from, and directly participate in that. You can invest in a metaverse ETF. Now, these ETFs, I think Grayscale has launched one, but it's more applicable for US citizens, Indian citizens. I don't think in India there's any ETF for metaverses. Then you can lastly create, buy, or sell NFTs. Now, NFT flipping is a necessary thing that you should do while you're trying to get into metaverse. So come buy an NFT cheap, spend a lot of your time trying to get into a whitelist, and then getting that NFT and then trying to sell it off at a profit. And so that's highly recommended if you want to just learn the how to roll in this particular world. And if you have a lot of money, you can just go ahead and buy those NFTs and do a bunch of things. Things to keep in mind, like only initially at least, only put in as much money as you can afford to lose, because crypto is risky. And in the last 6 months, many altcoins are the ones with the highest boom potential, highest bust potential. So most of the altcoins have lost 90% of their value. Some of them have even lost 95 to 99% of their value, depending upon which kind of alts we're talking about, right? In general, about $1.6 trillion have been wiped off, wiped off completely from the crypto ecosystem when it's from the time that it saw its peak in November 2021. So what are the challenges? Hardware ends up being a big challenge. Identity is a particularly big challenge also. On one side, people like the call of anonymity on the metaverse. They can get to fulfill all of their fantasies. But when things are anonymous, there's so many use cases where people just seem to degrade, become degenerates, etc., as opposed to building like a super awesome community with good vibes only. So that is one challenge. And another thing is that it will become very difficult to identify whether there's really a human behind the scenes or not in the metaverse. And if it is like AI and bots doing all the jobs, then it becomes it'll become like a good problem to solve. It'll become a necessary problem to solve. And people have already come up with models on how these things can be done. Then metaverse borrows very extensively from the gaming industry, and gaming industry is the one which has utilized behavioral dynamics, humans, which has understood human psychology and tapped into it the most. So we say social networks are addictive, but games are even more addictive than social networks. Metaverses also can likely become addictive. But if you're going over there to work, if you're going over there to earn, chances are that you'll do more meaningful stuff and not just end up losing massive amounts of time. Privacy, data security, same amount of stuff. You lose your identity or somebody else gets hold of your identity, they could end up doing all sorts of random stuff on the metaverse, which again, no laws exist, but your reputation could take a beating. And we live in a digital world. We are not very, like, especially in India, we still use very common passwords, etc. Identity gets compromised, it's a massive problem, guys. So at least with respect to your identity, please take very good measures of not losing it. Now, we will definitely, out of convenience, we might have already lost our identities to our nation states where we are physically living, but let's not lose our identities on the metaverse. We've lost it in the Web2 space to platforms. We will be losing it, to nation states, but nation states also provide us physical security, etc. It might be like a reasonable compromise, but on the metaverse, we should totally not let lose our identity. So those are, oops, Advait, this is like never-ending list. Let me also see. Okay, it doesn't. All right, currency, digital payments are not very easy to use these days. They're not. They're like relatively high barrier to entry. It's the same reason that only about 12.5% of the world's population has adopted cryptocurrency so far, and the majority of them have also just taken it through an exchange from an investment perspective and aren't really utilizing that crypto in any meaningful way. Law and jurisdiction, completely no regulations. So in fact, somebody said that when Horizon Worlds was launched, a woman said that, hey, I was sexually assaulted on Horizon Worlds, right? And many people commented on both extremes about that whole thing. But Facebook came out and took a decision that, hey, there will always be a 4 feet space between two individual user avatars on their world. So all sorts of complications arise when a new platform is getting created. And last is, the whole perception of time and space. Like in the COVID, not being able to make a distinguish between our work life and our home life led to a lot of burnout. Now, not being able to distinguish between time and space itself when we are in the virtual world, when we are in the real world, etc. Now, this could really wreak havoc. And so many people who've been historically against metaverses cite this as one of the most prominent reasons that, hey, it could lead to people using countless productive hours, and it could and people just living inside a fantasy land because they don't want to deal with the trials and tribulations of the day-to-day experiences of life. So that is all about metaverse, guys, and we've managed to finish on time. Questions, closing questions. And great. So we didn't have a lot of people today, but those of you who were, you've stayed all throughout. Any questions? Yes, no, maybe? Guys, none? Okay. Any questions that I didn't take earlier, which you would?
Hello. Yeah, this is Saurabh. Just have a question. It was a very comprehensive and very insightful session. Thank you so much for that. I learned many new things, many new dimensions to Metaverse. My question is simple, right? What could be step one for someone who is venturing into this? What is the ideal step one from your perspective?
Step one is to understand, how blockchain works. Get started with understanding a little bit of Bitcoin, how it works, and Ethereum, and how smart contracts work. Get your hands dirty as quickly as you can. So, buy some ETH, whatever you can afford from exchanges, and deploy it into some kind of a DeFi. So I'm giving you step by step, okay? So study Bitcoin, see, understand how it works a little bit. Right? And what are various use cases of Bitcoin? Why is it being perceived as digital gold? It's important for you to have these conceptual understandings because they are, on the metaverse, you end up designing economies. And if you don't understand the financial aspects of cryptocurrencies and what differentiates certain cryptocurrencies, you'll possibly never end up doing something breathtakingly innovative. But once you know that, like the world's your playground. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then quickly use some ETH, put it on Compound or Maker, lend a little bit of money, borrow a little bit of money, see how DeFi works, because Play to Earn is nothing but DeFi implemented on the gaming space, right? Okay. Buy an NFT. After that, buy an NFT, hold it. Like there are a bunch of these available. You will have to join multiple Discord groups, get whitelisted, and then spend your own money to be able to buy that NFT. But good, if you're lucky and you get into a whitelist of a good project, it'll be sold out in no time, and people will want to buy those NFTs very quickly from you. So you should flip it on OpenSea. I think we discussed about purchasing land on OpenSea, so we'll do a little bit of that also. But I want you guys to see this other side. Once you've done that, I would highly recommend trying to rent a piece of land and doing some on any of these metaverses and doing something meaningful with that land. For instance, putting an NFT over there, creating some kind of a small game over there, engaging with people, etc. Or you could just, the way you flipped NFTs, you could try flipping land as well. Now the demand is not insane right now, but there are so many new metaverses that are getting launched. So the same concept for NFTs will get applied to metaverses also. By the time you have bought your own land and sold your own land, you will be like a pro in the entire thing already. And you would have done more than what 99% of people who are into Web3 today have done. You know, if you go to that extent of renting or buying your own piece of land. So that will be the steps.
I mean, just a follow up to this question. When you said like kind of trying out buying out land, or I mean, I want to understand just from the business case and the financial case, what's at risk when we kind of play with this, and if there are case studies that we can read where people bought land and kind of lost money, made money, business companies thinking about their strategy around it. Are there such business cases or financial cases that we can read?
I'm not aware of case studies per se, but there are courses that are created on buying virtual real estate. So the world's leading virtual real estate firm, it's called damn. So memory is not coming, but so there's like $1,000 course they've created, which is all about buying virtual real estate and a lot of nuances of what it takes to buy virtual real estate. Let me just dig it out for you. There are also cheaper courses that you will be able to find in Udemy, but this one is very famous. So
intent of asking this question is like, one is I'm thinking through kind of opportunities. I'm thinking one way is that I think about this more as a immersive experience, or just a gaming kind of an experience where I spend some money, learn about it, or how can I really evaluate what are opportunities from that can be really tapped. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Playing with it versus kind of also if there are cases like, for example, this company that you mentioned, like the business opportunities that can be explored as well.
I've forgotten. Advait, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is this virtual reality group? I'm not sure if this is definitely not it. Do you know which company I'm talking about? It is,
no.
Damn, very famous. It is called the. It's a rendezvous. It'll come in my mouth soon. And unfortunately, Google's not pointing me. I do not know how to search it, but I'll share it with you in a bit. Meanwhile,
I found it. Metaverse.properties.
No. Metaverse.properties. So Metaverse.properties is correct. It is from that same company, which is.
Got it.
So the holding company of Metaverse.properties is the same. Is the same company. I think we'll be able to find it over here. Metaverse property. This is only the right name. So yeah, they have no. Okay, I'm not entirely sure if. I doubt if it is that company. It's like it's a big company. And for some reason, I thought that Metaverse.property was from them, but it was a different website. It isn't this website. I'll tell you the details. I'll definitely remember it and I'll ping you. But what I want you guys to see is like this is the world's #1 metaverse today. You all remember, you all know Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Those ape photos, which are like super expensive, $400,000 for one NFT. So that community has ended up launching this metaverse, and it is. I want to play this trailer for you before we close off.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides. We're chasing our pleasures here, dug our treasures there. But can we still recall the time we cried? Bring on through to the other side. Bring on through to the other side.
Yep. So if you noticed, this metaverse is interoperable. Those people that you saw inside that interesting looking submarine, they were all different, very well known crypto projects. And, whatever these guys are up to, they're creating like a pretty awesome interoperable metaverse where, which is exclusively for people who own those NFTs, and they could end up renting those NFTs for others to get a sense of their metaverse. Now, so Bored Ape also ended up, innovating in the NFT space. They said that, hey, if you already own a Bored Ape NFT and you drink a mutant serum, which is another NFT, so these two combine to be able to create a mutant ape, and then there are like 20,000 mutant apes instead of just 10,000 Bored Apes, right? So this entire metaverse, it's operated by its own native cryptocurrency called Ape Token, and Bored Ape holders will have 10% of the cryptocurrency. Mutant Ape holders will have 20% of the cryptocurrency. Another 10-15% of cryptocurrency will be with the developers, which is Yuga Labs, and the rest of it will be for the rest of the people who are coming into the metaverse to make it more exciting. So this is the world's leading metaverse as of this date. And that's all that I want to share.
Amit, I have a small question.
Yes, please.
How can we stay updated on whatever upcoming technology, blockchain, or any DAO project or any project which is coming in? Like we usually get to know when they make it in the news, when they are like applied. But how can we stay updated? What's the best way possible?
So there are definitely a lot of Discord groups that are active, a lot of Telegram groups that are active, and there's no shortcut to it. The fact is that the very best projects, they are sold out even before they're launched. The launch is just a formality. Okay, so it's like 10% of the total equity or token that is purchasable from an investor's kitty. Or 2 to 5% of that will go on a public sale. The rest of it will be fished out by private funds and public funds. So the best way to get to know about it is to work directly with a fund, with a Web3 or crypto fund. It's not too difficult to create one or launch one, because if you know a lot of rich people, you can put their money, get enough crypto, and say that, hey, I'm just declare yourself as a VC fund. You don't have to go through a SEBI to do it. You become a VC fund, you automatically start getting into the right kind of circuits and channels. So I would recommend that highly, Yogesh. The next best thing is to just do the hard work and be a part of a lot of different communities. Like in India, Harsha MV runs a community. I'm a part of that community, but I don't know its name because I don't spend much time online on social networks. But it is all about letting people know about new upcoming, cool upcoming NFT projects. For instance, India, ISRO in India has given, let me show you that stuff. Um, so ISRO has given commercial rights to a company to launch their NFTs, and they've done some pretty kick-ass work. And we didn't know about it, but in that community, we got to learn about it. Viewmanaut.
This is interesting.
Okay, so and over here, like this is something I really think that this is going to be a great project. So you can go join the waitlist right now. It's in its very early stages. Now, so this is what your NFT really looks like, right? When these models are like actually things that India has built, you know, different kind of rockets. So some people are very crazy about each of these things. You can assemble multiple NFTs together to create a full one. So all of these will get burnt, but you have a very rare NFT that you have reassembled. And it's deployed on the Polygon chain, not very expensive. Like these are 500 rupee NFTs. But the fact is they'll be limited edition. If you're able to get your hand on them for 500 rupees, you'll possibly be able to sell them for 5,000, 50,000, depending upon whatever the demand is. So yeah, it's just kind of hard to stay updated. But if you find yourself in the right places, unfortunately, the best places are also gated. Like last time we discussed Friends with Benefits community, right? So Bored Ape Yacht Club is one of the most premium communities out there. The CryptoPunks community is possibly more premium than even Bored Ape Yacht Club. So everybody who's sitting on a CryptoPunk is a multimillionaire already. Those guys discuss the fate of projects, and you know, like a couple of these guys backing you, sorted. You remember in the previous session I was talking about the DGen Club?
Yes.
Right. So that's where, you know, the good stuff happens, man. But there's so many things that could be done. In fact, now this idea is coming over that we could end up writing a bunch of scrapers and figure out, you know, like whatever is trending in its early stages on the internet and get it over here by observing like a bunch of maybe Discord groups and Twitter. That kind of things can be done for sure. Ask it an idea for you, by the way. Right? We can discuss it later how to implement.
Sure.
Yogesh, did that answer your question? I'm not sure.
It did. I'll probably work on it, like look for the groups and everything. Let me see what I can do on my own.
And do share your knowledge and you know, interesting places that you found with the rest of us also, because I think that will allow us as a community to also learn from each other and grow together.
For sure. Thank you so much, Amit. This was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our 6-part series, guys. Some of you have been coming week after week. I want to know from you, like, how have you evolved in these last 6 weeks when it comes to your knowledge and understanding of Web3? Some of you, of course, have come for the first time, for the second time today, so can't really comment. But those of you who've participated more than twice, you've seen, you've got anything actionable that you've been able to take back from here, or you now have clarity on what to do next, etc. in your journey, please do share a little.
Yeah, I think it gave me like some insights and ideas about both like the NFTs as a concept and even like MetaMask, for an example, like figuring out all that was pretty interesting to learn. And so, I don't know, I think it's like I said, now we just have to like explore and figure out where we are in this ecosystem.
Sure. And Vishal, like the same thing that I said to Saurabh, right? You've got to do that. You've already done like half of it. The rest of it, like, you know, but I think you're struggling with buying crypto on Indian exchanges these days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of totally hijacked our entire plan. We thought that we'll make everybody mint NFTs, do a bunch of things, purchase stuff, but nobody can actually buy crypto these days. So that's become a bit of a bummer.
The legal issues,
Yeah. But yeah, you can use your credit card and open an account on Binance, KuCoin. They will let you do that. And via credit card, via MoonPay, you can still buy some crypto. It's like, participate, do a little bit of lending, do a little bit of borrowing, buy an NFT, flip an NFT, you know. Like, well, there's no character building that happens until we don't get rug pulled on a project. We always want to go for high returns, and then we get rug pulled, we get wrecked. So yeah, those are things. Cool. Tarun, you came on video. Did you have something to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to share. I mean, first of all, thank you, Amit. I kind of over the last session, and I have been watching one or two sessions again. I was watching DeFi session again in the morning today, and it from my side in the terms of learning, I felt that I've missed a lot of evolution in the last couple of years. How these things have evolved. My kind of conviction in how this is gonna be evolving is still in very infancy. I probably would want to read more in terms of just to make the business sense. I do not come from a computer science background. I come more from a business background. So basically, I would read more on the business to make the business sense before I starting putting money a little bit and start playing. But this has definitely opened a lot of which it was basically I didn't know what I don't know. I was in the Johari's window of that side. So thank you for that.
Awesome. So I don't want you to, in fact, invest money. Put in 20,000 rupees. Play.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
This is just like something that gets your hand dirty, because theoretically, like, it's very easy to maybe grasp and gather, but it's not useful.
Makes
Like,
sense.
yeah.
Makes sense.
So really
Unless I don't put anything, I probably will not experiment it also. It makes sense completely.
Yeah. So awesome. And so thank you very much, everybody. Anybody else wants to ask a question, share anything, because we'll be closing another 2-3 minutes. No? All
Yeah,
right.
the DAO session was awesome. I really appreciated that one.
Okay, cool. Good to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, and like I say every time, so thank you for your generous listening, because you guys are there. Like, I'm motivated to learn something, and I learn something every single time I get to teach. Like in this session, there were so many instances where I did not know how to articulate the ideas that I had in my mind. So next time that I do it, I'll definitely be better. And I'm so very grateful for that. And I wish all of you all a spectacular time in the Web3 space. It is the bear market. It's the right time to build. It's the time to create wealth, basically. If you're like, most of us have lost significant amount of money in this bear market with this bear market coming, because a lot of it was put during the bull run and we weren't able to predict it. But if you've not put in much money and you get that opportunity, exchanges open up, etc., then do that right now. Right now is the time to invest in Web3. And I do not know if the next bull cycle will also happen. There's so many macroeconomic factors at play, but I don't think it will go too much down from where it already is. So there's very strong resistance on Bitcoin price. So if it falls below 20,000, it will definitely fall much more, and it will take the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem with it. But it most likely will not, because there's strong resistance over there, and that means we are not. We possibly have seen like the lows, and now there's upside to be seen over the next couple years. But what I have noticed from last time's downturn was that if you're able to survive a bear run, and if you've invested significantly in a bear run, in the next bull run, you're rich, like really. So keep a little bit of money that you can lose. Put it right now. Who cares? Sweet. So thank you, people. And this is like the last of the 6 weeks, and I'm looking totally forward to reclaiming my Saturdays and chilling in the pool, etc. And that's exactly where I'll be headed now. Thanks, guys.